So hello, today on my blog I wanted to greet Ingrid Indergaard, who is a visitor to my workshop from Norway, and she's a Norwegian forager doing a lot of stuff in her country, so maybe you can tell me what you do and what's the foraging scene there.
Absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Ingrid Indergaard, and I work at the Association of Mycology and Foraging in Norway. And I have been here on this wonderful workshop of edible plants with Lukas and learned a lot. And in Norway, the Association of Mycology and Foraging are a big organization which are in Oslo, and they have 40 under departments around in the whole country. Different organizations that work with both foraging mushroom but also edible plants. So my work there is to be a consultant for edible plants. That's what I do, and we have 7,500 nearly now members in Norway.
Incredible.
There is a lot of people that is interested in this topic, and we have seen a lot of growth, not only the last 10 years but especially the last 3-4 years.
So do you make your own courses?
Yes, we do online courses mostly, and then combine that with taking people out in nature, because there is only so much you can learn about plants in the theory and just by looking at the pictures and reading about the plants. But the real knowledge is out in nature also. So we take people out in the forest and the meadows and show them what they can use and how they can use it.
Did people collect mushrooms in the past in Norway, like 50 years ago?
In culture-wise, in Norway, picking mushrooms has not been very long. No, it's been the last couple of years that is very interested, like a big growth in that, people that have more interest in mycology. But plants, like this organization, is from 1902. And back then we only did plants, and not only edible but like fiber textile plants and so forth, everything you could use.
Okay.
Also like
1902, so it's over 100 years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's an old organization.
What's the name of the organization in Norwegian?
Like Norges Sopp- og Nyttevekstforbund. It's got Norwegian Mycology and Edible Plants Association. Yeah.
And it was called like this even 100 years ago?
No, then it was only Nyttevekstforeningen. Then it was only about the plants, and there was also a small association that did mushroom. And
Okay.
in 2005, they combined together.
Okay.
And now we are
Fantastic.
working with both.
How do you perceive the flora here? Because you came to Central Europe, to Poland, to the Carpathians. How do you find it?
I find it more rich in species than in Norway, but also a lot of the same species of the typical like weeds where you can find an agricultural landscape.
Yeah.
It's very much the same. And also I found a lot of similarities in forest. But I can see that you use also more species than we do back home in Norway, and also have different ways of preparing these plants for food.
But this is not traditional. Most of it, what I did was taken from other cultures, from my journeys or from literature, from the interest in cuisine.
But only like lacto-fermenting and putting things on jars is not so common in the culture in Norway now.
I mean, we have big tradition of preserving plants because the winter is long, like in Norway, but also people were poor and they wanted to have food, for winter. But of course, people in the countryside, long time ago, they didn't have jars, so people would lacto-ferment cabbage or cucumbers in barrels, or they would put pears in vinegar in barrels to preserve them. But wild food was usually dried, like blueberries, like bilberries. They would be just dried, because people didn't have fridges, didn't have jars. So only when jars came, it was popularized. And also in the 1980s, when there was this economic crisis, There was television, and people were taught how to preserve plants in jars, and they would grow a lot of stuff and preserve it. So I think a lot of it is from 1980s.
Yeah, in Norway, working with wild plants like this is maybe a little bit forgotten after the Second World War, and in that it has a like kind of a bad rumor of being foraging wild plants because it is seen as something that poor people do.
Do you perceive Polish people in Norway as in there, like collecting mushrooms and foraging? You see
Yes,
that they
we
do?
know that you have a rich culture of picking mushrooms, absolutely. And many of the Eastern Europe countries are known in Norway as great mushroom picking countries
Yeah.
with food culture in that. Mm. But now, in modern times, we see that like the wild plants have had a different, a change of, you know, how people, what the interest of people is when they go out in the forest to find edible plants. So it is not for poor people anymore. It is about total different. It is food nerds that want to hunt down local specialties, flavors, different kind of ways of doing things,
Yeah.
and offering something that is like environmentally friendly and local, traditional. This has been like a different value to it today than it has been the last couple of 30, 40 years. But, yeah.
These food nerds are trying to make it like traditional, have experience, etc. But I think we can see it in every country that there was a wave of interest in wild food among upscale restaurants. You know, it was chic, it was snobbish, it was new. I introduced this term ingredientization in my paper about the history of spices in Poland. That in some cultures people start producing a lot of ingredients, either from poverty because they're looking for everything to eat, or from richness, because then if you use a lot of ingredients you can dominate someone who doesn't use them or cannot afford using them. So in a way I think this was this case, but now it's going down. I think from my workshops I used to have Michelin star chefs coming here, and now then I had normal chefs, and then different kind of people come, more conscious people. So it's moving from now actually the use of many species of forage plants is becoming a part of a normal middle class culture. Like you are a doctor, or you are you know, just like a journalist, and you have a weekend and you go cycling and collecting some wild plants. And this is not like something totally snobbish. It's more comes from just their need to commune with nature.
Yes, I agree with that a lot. Like the poshness has been like a breakthrough for edible plants in Norway.
Yeah.
To raise the curiosity and to learn about plants. But now we also see that younger people are more interested in this, like people in the 30s, 40s, small families going out and foraging. And I think it has to do with like troubled times in Europe and the world, and we have had a pandemic going on for many years, and people have been a little bit more conscious about these plants and how to survive if something bad is happening.
Yeah.
Both that and also combined with maybe several years of isolation has made it clear that they need to go back to nature a little bit. So in my work, when I meet the people that goes on my foraging walks, I absolutely can see that aspect, that people are curious to go back to the more wilderness or nature, and that they also get some therapeutical reward by doing that.
Is there any traditional Norwegian dish involving wild plants that you serve?
Well, yeah, we have long traditions with the rumex species.
How do you sorrel, yeah? How
Yeah.
do you serve it?
like with
Traditionally.
like with yogurt.
But how would you make it?
Yeah, you just use it, the herbs in the yogurt, and like it kind of a tzatziki. But I don't know like if it's the ancient food culture in
Okay.
Norway.
But it's popular in Norway, yeah?
Yeah.
Now.
Yes, we still have that. But one of like the oldest edible plants that we have in Norway, it's like the Allium laukurgarder. It was onion farms from medieval times, and also Angelica
Yeah.
plant. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's also
Angelica, yeah, this is...
a plant that has rich traditions in Norway.
And now do you serve it in your workshops, Angelica?
Little bit, yes.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste, often a little bit strong for people that are not used to eating wild plants. Because in my experience, you need to train your tongue back to nature also a little
Yeah,
bit.
strong.
Especially when it has to do with like the bitter.
Yeah, people are
taste.
terrified of bitterness. They
Yes.
think they're gonna die because, oh my god, something's bitter. I said, don't worry, it's been tested for generations. It's okay. You
Yeah,
can
it
eat
even
dandelions. You
raises-
won't die from eating dandelion leaves.
It's very healthy for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you. So I hope you can come again to another workshop, but I can visit Norway and come and teach in Norway.
Yes, we would love to have you in Norway.
Maybe next year.
Absolutely. That would be great. I would be so thankful if you did that travel. Yeah, for sure.